Good day, everyone. Today we will report about corporate powers, governance, and corporate dissolution. Let's start with corporate powers under Section 35 of the Revised Corporation Code.
A corporation has three types of power: express, implied, and incidence. Express power are clearly written by the law or the articles of incorporation. These power are directly granted by law.
Implied powers are not written directly but are necessary to carry out express powers. For instance, if a company can issue shares, it is implied that it can print certificate, hire accountants, and open bank account to support that action.
Finally, incidental powers are connected to the very existence of the corporation. This includes creating internal rules, hiring employees, and maintaining offices. They may seem minor, but they are both essential for the company to operate efficiently and survive for the long run.
Board of Directors or trustees under Section 22 to 33 RCC and the Revised Corporation Code. Members are elected by stockholders or members entitled to vote. They must hold at least one share of stock for directors or be members for trustees. They must be natural persons of legal age and not convicted of certain offenses.
Directors, trustees are served for 1 year until successors are elected and qualified. The holdover rule applies. They remain in office until successors are elected. For non-stock corporation, trustees may have staggered terms up to 3 years.
Election and removal under Section 25-28. Election is by stockholders or members entitled to vote, usually during the annual meeting. Cumulative voting is allowed for directors in stock corporations. Trustee may be removed by 2/3 of outstanding capital stock for stock corps or 2/3 of members for non-stock corps. Removal without cause is valid but cannot deprive minority shareholders of representing through cumulative voting.
Vacancies under Section 29. Vacancies may fill the board if still constituting a quorum or by stockholders or member. If caused by removal, resignation, of term expiration, stockholders or member must elect replacement. If caused by death, incapacity, or disqualification, remaining directors may fill.
Meetings under Section 51, regular and special board meetings may be conducted through remote communication, Zoom, etc., subject to notice and quorum rules.
Fiduciary's duties under Section 3031. Directors, trustees are considered fiduciaries of the corporations. Duties of obedience, loyalty, and diligence applies. They must act in a good faith and avoid conflict of interest. They are personally liable for willful and grossly negligent acts, bad faith, or violation of RCC bylaws.
Self-dealing and conflict of interest, Section 32 to 33. A contract between the corporation and one of its directors, trustees, officers is avoidable unless it is fair and reasonable. The director's presence was not needed to quorum. The directors did not vote in approval. If approved, it is later ratified by stockholders, members representing at least 2/3. If conditions are not met, the director or trustees is liable for damage.
Governance is how a company is managed and directed, while the board of directors makes decisions. So stockholders as owners have a certain right that must be respected.
Key stockholders' rights include the right to vote during election for directors or major company decisions, ensuring democratic management. Another is the right to receive dividends, which are portion of profit shared with stockholders.
Stockholders also have a right to inspect company books and records to make sure everything transparent and honest. Additionally, they hold the appraisal right, which allows them to demand fair value if they disagree with major decisions like mergers or consolidation.
The doctrine of corporate opportunity ensures that directors cannot take business opportunity that should belong to the company, protecting stockholders' interests and maintaining ethical governance. This doctrine prevents conflict of interest. For example, if a director personally takes a project that should rightfully benefit the corporation, it would be unfair to the stockholders by enforcing this rule. Corporations uphold fairness, accountability, and trust in governance.
Moving on to election and quorum. Quorum is the minimum numbers of members needed to make decisions valid. In elections, stockholders vote for directors who must meet qualifications such as being stockholders and not disqualified by law. Once votes are cast, the elected officers take their rules. This process demonstrates proper governance through elections and quorum. Without quorum, decisions cannot be enforced because they would lack legitimacy. That's why ensuring enough stockholders are present is critical. Likewise, elections are not just formality, they ensure accountability since directors are chosen by the very people whose interests they represent.
Finally, we will discuss what happens when a corporation reaches its end through dissolution.
Corporate dissolutions refers to ending the life of a corporation. There are two types, voluntary and involuntary. Voluntary dissolutions happen when a company decides to close, often due to lack of profitability or expirations of its terms. Involuntary dissolutions occurs when the court or government orders closure due to legal violence or non-compliance. During dissolutions, creditors are paid first before the assets go to stockholders. If the director hides the company's asset for personal gain, the principle of pursing the corporate veil may apply. Holding individuals personally responsible, dissolutions is like the formal death of a corporation. Just like people, companies have a beginning and end. But before a corporation can officially close, it must settle all its debts, pay its employees, and comply with the government requirements.
However, the parent company that controlled it was using Coppel mostly for its own benefit. They were not letting Coppel act as a separate corporation. The problem was the parent company treated Coppel like it was their personal business. They were making decisions that benefit themselves, not Coppel or its stockholders. They were hiding behind the company's legal status to avoid responsibility for their actions. Because of this, the court decided to pierce the corporation veil. Normally, a corporation is a separate legal person. That means the people running it are not personally responsible for the company's action. But in this case, the court said that the parent company could be held personally responsible because they were using the corporation.
This reminds us why separating ownership from management is essential. When owners interfere with daily corporate decisions for personal gain, it can harm stockholders and undermine trust in the company. The board of directors must act independently, making decisions that protect the corporation's interests rather than the owner's personal interests. Cases like this show why strict governance rules and ethical standards are necessary to prevent misuse of funds and ensure transparency. By following these rules, corporations can operate fairly, maintain an accountability to their stockholders.
It is scope on corporate powers, governance, and stockholders' right. Marta's group has all the tea. Everyone!
Did you hear the news about the Company X? You won't believe what they did.
Yes, I've heard they suddenly borrowed so much money.
Hired a whole new team without telling anyone?
Directors are making deals without the company's knowledge.
Stockholders were expecting dividends from the profits.
Someone checked the books, found shady transactions.
Others even grabbed business opportunities that are meant for the company.
Meeting had total quorum drama. Chaos everywhere.
With everything going on, Company X may not last much longer.
Look like Company X has a lot of secrets, and we're here to tell every bit of it. Stay tuned for more updates from Marites Group. Thank you for listening. This ends our report about corporate powers, governance, and corporate dissolution.